Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel, local pilgrims recount World Youth Day 2016. Dan Dumas will take a look at what's happening in the Diocese of Springfield. And this Labor Day weekend, we will bring you two stories of two great Catholic communicators. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel.
Here is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Roulier.
Hello and welcome to Reel as we begin a brand new season of programming bringing you stories that we hope will inform, educate, and inspire you each week. And in honor of this Labor Day weekend, we'll recognize the labors of two members of the Catholic media later on in our show. But first up today, some 70 pilgrims from the Diocese of Springfield in late July and early August joined Bishop Mitchell Rosansky and thousands of other young people from around the world in Poland for World Youth Day 2016. Hannah Green, our Catholic Communications summer intern, who's a sophomore at Simmons College in Boston, caught up with all of the pilgrims as they returned from this pilgrimage of a lifetime. And she has our story now.
There were no beaches, hotels, or even on-time transportation on this trip overseas. World Youth Day 2016 was certainly not a vacation for the 70 Western Massachusetts pilgrims who spent 2 weeks on pilgrimage in Krakow, Poland this summer. However, pilgrims like Westfield native Jacqueline Luna said they were ready for anything, even sleeping on a gym floor.
Some days we're tired, some days we're hot, we're far from where we're staying. So we know that it's not a vacation, it's a pilgrimage, and we have to take that discomfort and really find a meaning in it.
Soon, the 2.6 million Catholics who converged on Poland this summer were engaging in a week of daily Mass, music, and prayer. Gina Serwinski, youth minister for the Diocese of Springfield, said Western Massachusetts pilgrims used their extended 2-week trip overseas to visit notable sites around Poland before and after World Youth Day.
Some of the trips that we did, we started going to the monastery at Yasna Gora, Alert Czestochowa, which there were people from all over the world gathered. We also went to Auschwitz and Birkenau, Auschwitz II. We went down to Zakopane and we went and saw the church Our Lady of Fatima, which was a church that was built in honor of Our Lady of Fatima for saving John Paul's life after the assassination attempt.
And of course, they got to see the Pope. Mother and daughter Michelle and Joel Guzzi agreed that getting a wave from Pope Francis was the highlight of their trip.
When the Pope was coming by, I was able to be right in front and to see him right there about 5 feet away, so that was really amazing.
And after a 24-hour-long journey home, the pilgrims were exhausted but uplifted as I joined them on their bus ride home from Logan International Airport in Boston to Mary Mother of Hope Church in Springfield. Springfield Bishop Mitchell T. Rosansky, who safely led the pilgrims to and from Poland this summer, shared how the pilgrims felt at the end of their pilgrimage.
Our young people relayed to me that they really felt their faith deepened, to look around and see so many others of their age celebrating our Catholic faith.
Krakow, the 14th city to host World Youth Day since its founding in 1985 by St. John Paul II, is known for its large Catholic population and abundance of churches.
I didn't know that a town could bowl me over so much, and it was just because St. John Paul II we went to Mass where he was baptized, and just being there was so amazing.
The pilgrims were also charmed by the hospitality of the Polish people, especially one young girl named Olivia.
We had one little girl, Olivia, that would meet us at the train station every morning and every night, and she would come with a bowl of candy with her mom, and she had us sign a notebook. She wanted to know where we were from and what our names were. And at the end of the pilgrimage, everyone signed one of our World Youth Day backpacks and put some items in it for her, like memorabilia, and brought it to her house, and they all had a group picture with her.
Even after beholding the beauty of Polish churches and chapels, many pilgrims agreed that it was interactions like these with fellow Catholics that helped revitalize their faith. For Belchertown parishioner Colleen Grady, it was a single confession in a busy Krakow marketplace that she will remember most about her trip.
The words that he said to me will always stay with me. He kind of told me, how blessed are you to be in this place where so many other people had the opportunity but could not come. And yet you were given that blessing to come here, to be here, and to open up your ears to everything that is happening around you.
And while their time to grow and learn in Poland is over, the pilgrims know that their journey is not yet complete. As the pilgrims explain, they understand their responsibility to bring what they've learned in Poland back to the Diocese of Springfield.
I think the purpose for our group, in my eyes, was to bring something back to this area, to Springfield, and to really unite the Diocese of Springfield and to interact with other youth from parishes, because we don't necessarily see other youth from the parishes often.
Michelle Guzzi said that after spending 2 weeks traveling with the young people of our diocese, she now believes in a bright future for the Catholic Church.
I am very grateful that I was able to experience the church, but the young church, the young universal church, because it gives people my age and older hope. We have hope that our church isn't just dying off. Our church is so vibrant and important to people, and that was such a beautiful thing to witness.
Bishop Rosansky said he found hope in these pilgrims' dedication to their faith.
I hope our young people will be able to take that enthusiasm that we all celebrated at World Youth Day, bring it back here, share it with those whom they meet, and our faith certainly will grow and be secure because of that.
Many pilgrims already have their sights set on World Youth Day 2019 in Panama, where they hope to continue to grow in their faith with the whole world watching. For Real to Real, I'm Hannah Green.
Thanks, Hannah. I'm sure this was one experience that these young people will remember forever. And good luck to Hannah as she begins her sophomore year at Simmons. We have much more still to come on Real to Real. Dan Dumas will take a look at what's happening in the Diocese of Springfield. And Peggy Weber introduces us to Boston's newest auxiliary bishop, a familiar face to many. These stories and more are still to come on Real to Real.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Peggy Weber, inviting you to take time out of your busy day and join us Sunday morning at 10. This week, we honor our very own Passionist brother, Terrence Scanlon, as he marks 35 years of Chalice ministry. The Chalice of Salvation, your spiritual connection, Sunday morning at 10, right here on 22 News.
Bishop Mitchell Rosansky invites all parishioners in the Diocese of Springfield to Camp Holy Cross in Goshen for a pilgrimage day celebrating the Jubilee Year of Mercy. On Saturday, September 10th, come to Camp Holy Cross for an uplifting day, guest speakers for all ages, an opportunity to pass through a holy door, confession, adoration, crafts for kids, and a festive liturgy. The day is free and open to all. Register online through a link on iobserve.org.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Real to Real news brief. Thousands are expected tomorrow as the long-awaited canonization of Mother Teresa of Calcutta takes place. The widely admired Mother Teresa nonetheless had her own earthly challenges, as we learn in this CNS video.
When we speak of Mother Teresa's darkness, as she herself called it, it's something that's not simply what John of the Cross called the dark night. Okay? Because normally the dark night is preparing someone for this union with Jesus, for real deep contemplative prayer. So it's different than simply the dark night, because it's not preparing her for a union. It's paradoxically the way she's living her union with Jesus is by not experiencing that union. Now, she was a woman passionately in love with Jesus. She wanted to, as a young religious, she made this resolution to love him as he has never been loved before, which is a daring thing to say if you're taking it seriously. And so the trial is that she feels that Jesus doesn't love her. She feels unwanted, unloved. And then she feels that she can't love Jesus as she wants to love him passionately, as he's never been loved before. The darkness, as a missionary of charity, we might call it an apostolic darkness, which is she's in solidarity with the spiritually poor. When she went into the West, she discovered and realized that, as she would say, the greatest poverty in the world today is to be unloved, unwanted, uncared for. And that could be the experience very common. It could be a rich person, middle class. Anyone can have that experience. When she would travel, even in Calcutta, she would travel, people would come and want to speak with Mother Teresa, and they would open their hearts to her, so I can only imagine some of the horror stories that she heard. And so she would have this empathy because she had also the same sense of, yeah, I know what it is to be unloved and unwanted and feeling lonely. You know, really to want to love and be loved, and it seems like it's not there. One of the things Mother Teresa teaches us is what commitment is. And love is not principally a feeling. Certainly that's part of it for most everyone. But in the end, it's classical Thomas Aquinas. Love is in the will, and it's our choosing.
More recently, faith was on display at the annual Faith on Fire outdoor revival-type gathering in Feeding Hills. Julie Beaulieu reports.
Each night of the rally began with inspirational Christian music by Psalm 33. Kristen Stawas, a parishioner at Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament Church in Westfield, is one of the singers. She has a message for fellow teens.
God is great all the time. He's someone who you can always depend on, even though everything else in your life is changing all the time. And there are many rallies and conferences for teenagers, and there's also a lot of Catholic colleges that are good options.
Kristen is a junior at Westfield High School. Another inspirational youth spoke Friday evening, Brother Jerome Dano, whose message was pro-life.
God has a plan for everything, and the best outcome is following God's plan, and abortion is not in God's plan. Abortion is just causing a whole nother problem. It's not a fix, and you never know what God's plan is for the child that's in this situation, or the mother.
Other presenters featured during the two-night event were Father Warren Savage, Carolee McGrath, Deb Brian Susko, Marian Father Anthony Gremlich, closing with Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky. Friday evening ended with a procession of the Blessed Sacrament, followed by adoration and a healing service. Also, confession was available both evenings. The Agawam Knights of Columbus, Council 5585, and the St. Martha's Guild provided food and beverages for purchase.
Finally, our faith can sometimes be celebrated in unusual places. That might best describe the Diocesan Family Day at Six Flags New England. Sharon Roulier has that story.
More than 420 people from the Diocese of Springfield and Providence, Rhode Island, as well as the Archdiocese of Hartford, Connecticut, took part in the day-long event offering families a chance to relax and recreate or recreate, according to Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky.
It's time to slow down a bit, to relax, and to be recreated. We're all here to be recreated, to enjoy, to come together, and to be able to take in the enjoyment that Six Flags affords to us.
The day began with morning mass celebrated by the bishop in the River's Edge Picnic Grove.
Glory, glory to God in the highest.
Deacon Jose Correa brought his parish's youth group from Our Lady of Guadalupe in Holyoke.
It's important for them to see that the church really wants them to be part of the church, and to be here in Six Flags on this wonderful day and celebrate a mass with the bishop. For the kids, it was an amazing event, and they loved it.
Following the mass, everyone was able to ride the rides and take part in all the exciting things the park had to offer. And a noontime buffet lunch was also available in the Grove.
What a great time. Organizers are already planning next year's day. Remember, you can always stay informed on all the happenings in the Catholic Church locally or beyond by logging on to our news and information website, iobserve.org. There you can read articles written by our Catholic communications staff, as well as view old episodes of Real to Real. That's iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and that's your Real to Real News Brief.
Just 2 weeks ago, on August 24th, Bishop Robert Reed was ordained as an auxiliary bishop for the Archdiocese of Boston. Many are familiar with his ministry with Catholic TV out of Boston, and Catholic Communications has been a great partner with Bishop Reed over the years. He recently sat down with Peggy Weber to talk about his new appointment and how he hopes to continue to spread the good news.
Bishop Robert Reed got a surprising phone call from the papal nuncio last spring.
He said, "Is this Father Robert Reed?" I said, "It is." He said, "How are you feeling?" I said, "I'm feeling fine." He said, "Well, Pope Francis has named you a bishop. Do you accept?" And I just was stunned. When I composed myself, I asked him if I could think about it a little bit. He says, "Sure, take 2 or 3 hours. Call me back this afternoon."
Bishop Reed is used to tight schedules. Since 2005, he has been the head of Catholic TV Network, which is available in over 13 million homes and has a website with a 24-hour live stream. He also is cabinet secretary for the Catholic media for the Archdiocese of Boston, and he is a sincere priest, so he took the time to pray about what he would say to the nuncio.
I couldn't find any good reason to say no to Pope Francis, so I said, I accept.
He will now serve as the auxiliary for the western region of the Archdiocese of Boston. He was ordained August 24th, along with Bishop Mark O'Connell. Bishop Reed has always been working hard at evangelizing. His vocation began in the back of his first grade classroom. It was there that he heard a compelling story that planted some very strong seeds.
I was in the first grade classroom with Sister Lydia, and she told us this story. It took like 90 seconds to tell, of St. Tarcisius and how he had courageously carried the Holy Eucharist during a terrible time in the church, in the early days of the church, and he was overtaken by a mob and killed. He was martyred, and it just dawned on me that even as a kid, what a great gift that is for a young person to love Jesus so much that he would give his life.
In a sense, Bishop Reed realized at a very young age that anyone, no matter their age or education, can make a difference in the world and spread the wonderful messages of the Catholic faith. In his recent book, Renewed, 10 Ways to Rediscover the Saints, Embrace Your Gifts, and Revive Your Catholic Faith, he challenges everyone to get involved. Instead of wringing one's hands and wondering what is the church going to do, he suggests what everyone can do.
It's everyone's job to spread the faith, and we're inspired by the saints and the greats that have gone before us, but we also can be very, very much inspired by one another.
And in the words of St. Catherine of Siena, that all the way to heaven is heaven, Bishop Reed has spent most of his life in heavenly pursuits. He attended St. John Prep in Brighton for high school and college, and then studied at the North American College in Rome. He also holds a master's degree in television management from Boston University's College of Communication. And he is innovative and is responsible for creating the very popular Catholic game show for kids, Wow.
Well, we have a lot of shows that we produce here at Catholic TV, but the one that's probably nearest and dearest to my heart is Wow, the Catholic TV Challenge. I always loved game shows, and so having a game show that we produce regularly here at Catholic TV is a way for us to touch young people's lives, families' lives, Catholic schools and religious education programs and parishes.
WOW shows the range of Bishop Reed's work. He is perhaps most familiar to this area when he and Jay Fadden host the half-hour show This Is the Day on Tuesdays and Friday mornings at 10:30 a.m. The viewership there is incredibly loyal and personal.
Here in the set for This Is the Day, our live morning show, we call it the Catholic TV living room, affectionately. A very important piece of furniture is the prayer box. And so here in the living room, in that box, when people send in prayer intentions, we put them all in that box, and then we ask all of our viewers who watch the show and who are a part of the Catholic TV family to pray for all those needs of their fellow on-air parishioners.
If Bishop Robert Reed were not a priest, he probably could have been an air traffic controller because he makes it look easy to keep all the planes going. He manages to keep a schedule of parish life, Catholic TV life, and now his new life as a bishop, all coordinated. Bishop Reed will be busy. He is now the pastor of Good Shepherd Parish in Wayland. However, Bishop Reed is not worried.
It's a matter of organization and scheduling. I'm convinced of that. And I think there can be a lot of interplay. Our mission here at Catholic TV is to bring people closer to the parish, to connect them with the church, even if they can't get out to their local parish. And so being a pastor of a parish and being the pastor of the parish of the airwaves just seems to make sense.
Western Mass native Bonnie Rogers has worked with Bishop Reed for 8 years and praised this selection by Pope Francis.
The reaction to Father Reed's appointment as auxiliary bishop has just been amazing, just amazing. You know, we see him every day. You know, we know when he sets aside time to pray his rosary. We know how hard he works creatively for, you know, the TV ministry and for everything that we do here. And his love for his brother priest, that this has been for us a real affirmation of his tremendous work, his holiness.
Bishop Reed is happy to serve, but is uncomfortable with praise. He describes himself as just a kid from Swampscott, and he says he wants to live out his Episcopal motto, Jesus is our only hope.
As a bishop, I'm a priest, and to be ordained a bishop is to be given the fullness of the priesthood. And so I've loved being a priest, absolutely loved it for 31 years. And so I see this as more of the same. And, you know, we're at a critical moment right now within our society as a church community. And I see my role as I say, more of the same, to really reach out and evangelize, to bring people into closer contact with Jesus.
For Real to Real, I'm Peggy Weber.
We congratulate Bishop Reed and wish him well in his new work. And we are happy to announce that he has agreed to come to be a celebrant on the Chalice of Salvation in May of 2017. And speaking of the Chalice of Salvation, our weekly televised Mass, seen each Sunday morning at 10 a.m. here on TV 22, this Labor Day weekend, longtime host Brother Terrence Scanlon is marking an anniversary. 35 years to be exact that Brother Terry has been a part of this ministry that was founded by the Passionist Fathers and Brothers more than 50 years ago. I can't believe that 5 years have already passed since I sat down to talk about the television ministry with Brother Terry for this next story that we brought you back in October of 2011.
Let us pray today for the eyes.
When Brother Terrence recalls his time with Chalice of Salvation, he's got a lot to think about. The West Springfield native, who grew up near the Passionist Monastery in West Springfield, worked in the retreat house kitchen as a teenager, would eventually join the Passionist community in 1962 in Pittsburgh. For a number of those early years, he managed the community's print shops in West Hartford and Union City, New Jersey. Then, in 1981, he received a request from Passionist Father John Patrick Moore, Chalist host at the time, to come back to West Springfield and work in the community's television ministry.
Father John Patrick Moore extended the invitation to me. He says, "Why don't you come up and work on TV?" I said, "I have no experience." He says, "Well, you're just going to get your hands wet very early." So, it was through his encouragement and push and drive that I'm here with you now for 30 years.
When Brother Terrence first arrived, the Passionist Radio and Television Center for the Diocese of Springfield was located on Elm Street in West Springfield, in what was affectionately known as the A-frame. He says people would actually show up on Sunday mornings thinking that the Mass was broadcast from there, when in fact it was produced at the Channel 22 studios on Proven Mountain in Feeding Hills. Catholic Communications Director Mark DuPont also came to the communications ministry in 1981. He recalls the great energy and commitment Brother Terrence brought to his new assignment.
In the early 1980s, we were on the cusp of many new innovations in the broadcast and communications world. And so Brother Terry came at a very important and critical time in the history of Catholic communications, brought a great deal of energy and enthusiasm on how we could use these new technologies to really enliven the way we broadcast the Mass, so it brought better meaning to the people at home.
During the following years, Chalice took to the road, broadcasting remote Masses from many parishes and locations, including the yearly Big E Mass. Times Brother Terrence looks back on with fondness.
We really show the health and wealth of the diocese, the richness of the spirituality, by the different priests that come in that are on Chalice. It's a reflection of the diocese through the camera lens, right back into their homes.
And that advancement in technology has continued in recent years.
We're into high-definition TV now, so everything is supremely compact. You're taking a disc now to go out and to do your stories instead of the cumbersome tapes. The longevity of the disc is much improved, and just the ability of the new cameras and the graphic arts and all that makes it a lot easier and attractive to the viewing community.
And the viewing community is large, says Monsignor Christopher Conley, Vicar General of the Diocese of Springfield.
I've often said to Brother Terrence, half kiddingly, but the other half rather seriously, that he is the pastor, in a sense, of the largest parish, and that he brings a pastoral presence and the face of the church each week, each Sunday, so beautifully, not only to Catholics throughout the diocese, but others who may tune in and are encouraged and uplifted by the message they hear.
As Brother Terrence begins another decade of service in broadcast ministry, I asked him what keeps him here.
My New England stubbornness, I don't want to leave.
Congratulations to Brother Terry, and tomorrow morning at 10 for viewers on WWLP 22 News, you can tune in to the Chalice Mass, which will be celebrated by the Provincial of the Passionist Community, Father Robert Jerger, in honor of Brother Terry. That's tomorrow morning, September 4th at 10 a.m. on TV 22. Also a reminder about the upcoming Diocesan Pilgrimage Day for the Year of Mercy. It's just a week away on September 10th. It will be held at Camp Holy Cross in Goshen and includes Mass, a penance service, crafts, and activities for children, as well as music and activities on the waterfront. This free day-long event is open to all, and you can register online this coming week at iobserve.org. And for this week, that's Reel to Reel. To keep up to date on all of the latest news on the Catholic Church, both here in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world, you can check out our news and information website, iobserve.org. Also, you can friend us on Facebook. We are at Catholic Communications. And I will see you right back here next week as we come to you from Immaculate Conception Church in Mill River for another edition of Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. See you then.
Reel to Reel is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.